So there you are. You see them there? Quite a bit of difference. Old bottling, new bottling. So welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And I said I was going to do it. And here we are, we're going to do it. Glenmorangie night. This is 18-year-old rare. And this might not be quite as rare. This is their new bottling. But this is. And what I was going to do was, as I promised, I was going to compare the two, see how Glenmorangie has changed from this bottling. And this goes back quite a few years. Now, I'm not going to venture to say is it 15 or whatever, 12 to 15 years. But anyways, we're going to compare the two. So let's get started. We're going to get ourselves a pour first. And I have the two Glencairns, but I can tell basically the two apart because one has the Glencairn insignias in it, and the other one is just clean. So one has the insignia on it. We will pour the new bottling, and the oldie goldie. We are going to pour in the one that is clear, no insignia. It also gives us a chance to kind of compare the two, look at the color. Now, we got those almost equal and, not quite. Not quite. Let's pour a little more of the other end there. Let's get them equal. That's probably a little closer. Now, first thing we want to do is we're just going to get up and just take a peek at them there. So just color-wise, we can get a bit of an idea what we're looking at there. And I'm not going to, I gave you the detail stuff there the other day there when I did the other review. We looked for legs, etc. So we're not going to do that this time. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to let these sit for a bit, and we'll come back to them. Okay? And so I'm going to give them 20 minutes, and we'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Well, welcome back, and we're going to get into it. Just a little bit of information. If you hadn't watched the previous review on this 18, the new 18, extremely rare, we talked about the 15 years in bourbon, and now this is their own forest in the Ozarks that they own, and they build their casks in the States there, and then they have both Jack Daniels and Heavenly Hill fill them with bourbon. They actually rent them out to Jack Daniels. They put bourbon in them for 4 years, and they drain them, and they ship those empty barrels back to Scotland. Now, these barrels actually, when they build them, they actually let them air for 2 years. So they really look after their casks, and it's the same with their wine and sherry casks. So what we're doing here is we're getting 15 years in the bourbon cask. Now, we take 30% of that whiskey out of those bourbon casks after 15 years, and we age it for another 3 years. We'll say finish it for another 3 years in sherry casks. And Moet Hennessey has connections with a lot of wine, sherry, and port vineyards, and also the cooperages in Spain and Portugal, and France. So they have good access to these casks, good casks. So it's not just Macallan that has access to good casks. Glenmorangie gets some very good casks for finishing. And we were talking about the 15 years and then 3 years with 30% of that whiskey. What happens to the rest of the whiskey? Well, it stays in the cask for the full 18 years. So when both the 30% and the 18, or the 15 that has now become 18 in bourbon casks, when they both reach the 18-year mark, they marry them together. So, I think I explained it a little different on the last review, but that's basically what's happening. The first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start off with nose. So we're going to start off with the new. Now I said with the new there, it has the insignia, so we don't get these mixed up, and we will give the new one the nose. And we have, I always say they do have a lighter nose, but it's got the citrus notes, the zest, perfumey. I said a bit of lavender last time, in case you honey. And I'm getting, this time around, I'm getting a little bit of the marzipan maybe. Something even vanilla. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time on each one because I think I'll do a better job if I jump rather quickly back and forth there. Okay, this is the old timer. A lot more musk. Oh, the wood. I smell the wood. Definitely different whiskeys. Definitely different whiskeys in terms of the nose. Sherry. I'm actually smelling the sherry in here. Sherry and wood. Not getting so much of the zestiness. Boy, there's something there. The first thing I got was dirty socks. That's not good. Okay. No, I think it is the sherry. Almost a Fino sherry. A little bit of the vanilla honey notes. Wee bit of banana. And now the berries. Okay. So, a little bit of must. I'm getting there. You say musty, but we're gonna go back here again, and we'll give this the nose. Oh yeah, so lighter, and there is a certain amount of richness to this. I'm getting some cake. Almost just a bit of shortbread there. And that could be the malt. But here comes the honey. A little bit of vanilla. And we're getting some of the fruit coming through now, the peaches. Waiting for the dark fruits to come through, because I was getting more dark fruits here. Maybe a little bit of cranberry there. Okay, let's get back here again. Yeah, definitely different. Wow. So I'm getting more darker fruits here. And not getting any vanilla really. I am getting some honey, but more of the dark fruits, stewed dark fruits. The mustiness is probably more, it's almost an earthiness to it, eh? But there is the wood there. Okay, now, the newer bottling palette. Gosh, a little bit more than that. Okay, now I'm getting more of the berries mixed with the honey. But there is peaches, pears, honey. Yesterday I got the licorice. Today I get the licorice again. It's somewhere between the black and the red licorice. I had it or the day before yesterday when I did the review. It's there again. So, and I'm going to stay with that acacia honey. I think that's the best description. We're getting the, I mentioned I think tarts the other day there, but there's definitely some rich pastry stuff going on. Like I said, crisp as well. There's some very rich and sweet pastry, but there's some tartness there too. Okay, we're gonna clear the palate, and then we will get into the older guy there. Okay. Solange. Boy. Wood. Really can taste the wood here. And berries. Yeah, I'm going to stay with the dark fruit. So this is a lot more woody than the newer presentation. It's amazing. Two different whiskeys. And the colors were close, I think. But even a slight bit of bitterness to this. No bitterness here at all on the new presentation. But this does coat my mouth more than this does. I'm going to top this off. Boy, we were talking about the licorice and all that stuff. I just got it here, but this is definitely black licorice. I had to adjust to this in the palate after. This is just such a smooth, light presentation. This isn't as light as that. This is a different presentation. These have changed. There's no question about it. This isn't going to be something arbitrary. They're two different whiskeys. They're related in terms of, they're from the same stills. I'm certain the barley source must be the same, but they're two different whiskeys. And being Highland whiskeys, this was almost, gave me some of that Speyside, Craig Gallagher, Arbor Lore, that mix of distilleries in that Craig Gallagher area over to the Dufftown there. It's just almost worm tops, this has got there's almost a bit of funkiness to this. I'm going to one more here, just to get a little more identifying of what's going on here. See, I'm adjusting to it. So now I'm swinging closer here because my palate is adjusted to the stronger. It's like a stronger presentation. They're both supposed to be 43s, but this is definitely a heavier. It's a much heavier presentation. This is a heavier distillate than this one here. This is a much softer, lighter distillate, and it's easier for me now to identify the honey. The dark fruits are there. I'm going to stay with the black licorice. Not much, again, not a lot of vanilla or anything like that you would maybe expect with, bourbon influence. It's more, it just seems there's more sherry influence here, or certainly I'm tasting berries, I'm tasting the dark fruit. I'm getting a bit of the honey, but it's spicy. It's a spicy honey. It's not an acacia. This is more like the Manuka honey. But maybe that's more somewhere between acacia and clover, and this is definitely Manuka. But interesting. I wasn't expecting this, I'll tell you. No. Okay, we're gonna now go for the finish. This is the new, and because I'm not dwelling on this as much as I tested this just a couple days ago. And I don't need to keep going back to it, but I better clear my palate because that's going to taint the palate a bit. So, boy, quite surprised here. That's I wasn't expecting that. It's kind of like somebody from another distillery dropped off a bottle. Both, remember, are 18-year-old Glenmorangies, and this one here, I think, this is called Extremely Rare, and I forget, I have to read the name on that, but I think it's called Rare or whatever. I'll read it to you there right after we do the finish. The finish. I like this. It's light. Fruity, medium finish, nice coating on the mouth, berries, but balanced with, I would say you've got the lighter fruits and the darker fruits more balanced here than we'll say over here. And I'm going to stay with the smooth acacia honey. Marzipan. It's almost creamy. A little bit of chocolate. And not as spicy as this. Very little spice. Very little bitterness to it. Just very slight. Anyways, we'll go and give the other one a shot, and I want to show you the label on that one there. So this one here says Glenmorangie Single Highland Rare Malt Scotch Whiskey. So this one here says extremely rare. So, but they're both 43s. There's not much other information. I think I read through here. It's got the old 16-minute tin on it, the 16-minute tin. I think they discontinued that. I think it's called the Menatane, probably on that bottle. But this is an older bottle. You can even tell looking at the label there. One last look at it there. And I was just reading what these bottles are worth. And this has got a little bit of mist to it, by the way. Just a wee bit of mist. It's not as clear as the other one. It's interesting. It's not perfectly clear. I'll have to study that a little bit more. Okay. Finish on the old guy. I've adjusted to it, and it's not hitting me the same as it was before. It's sliding over closer to the newer whiskey there, but still we got some dark fruits. We seem to be getting more of a mix now. I think this finish is a little longer than that finish there, slightly bit longer. certainly coats your mouth. The wood is not quite as intense, but again, my palate, I think, is adjusted a bit more. In other words, it doesn't taste woody right at the moment. But still a little bit of spice, but not as much as before. I'm going to say, I mean, I gave it 20 minutes, and very little was out of that bottle. I mean, I hardly drank anything out of that at all. So that's an old bottle. It's just sort of been opened. So, but there's no signs that it was leaking or anything like that. I think some might escape over the years through the cork. But other than that, there's a certain amount of air exchange that does happen. But I'm going to just top that one off. It's funny, the more I drink this, the more I'm getting to like it. Just a little heavier body than this. And at first I was getting attacked with the wood, and I wasn't sure exactly, where's this going? Am I going to say that I got myself a woody presentation? And I don't want too much wood. I want it balanced out, but no, it's not there. It's very balanced. And oh yeah, there's lots of legs to this. So I said I wasn't going to show you the legs. I don't think there's any need. You can see on yesterday when I did the video on the newer presentation. I mean, there's always, Glenmorangie always has a bit of a syrupy thing going on there, even though it's a very light textured distillation because of the tall stills and all the copper contact, just more purification going on in that. But I'm going to say this is definitely a longer finish. So we're saying shorter, we're going to say short, medium, medium. Okay, so on the shorter side of medium to the new one, to definitely a medium finish on the older one there. Even maybe a little on, maybe to be a little more fair, maybe a little on the longer side of medium here to medium on the new one. So we'll say the new one's more around the medium range, and then I'll say the old one is more on the longer side of medium. So, but they made a good Glenmorangie, but at the same time, you know what? This is still a decent dram. So I'm going to add just a drop of water, okay? And we're going to see what happens with a drop. I'm not doing any more than a drop, because yesterday when I did the review, or the day before, when I was doing the review, I think I put 2 drops in, and I kind of felt I should have only put 1 in. So, ooh, I got 2. Get with the old swirl. So, the interesting thing about Glenmorangie, it's won a lot of awards. The 18 is done even the new 18's done okay. And I was reading that it has done more awards in the last 5 years than any other single malt in Scotland at the World Whisky Awards. I didn't know was it's been the #1 selling malt in Scotland for like the last 10, 12 years, So, I used to drink Glenmorangie. It was like Macallan's and Glenmorangie were my go-tos. Originally, of course, the first one I ever drank was Glenfiddich, but eventually I kind of slid more toward the Macallan's and the Glenmorangies. What I'm saying is I've wandered away from the Glenmorangie, and it's kind of, this is nice getting back to it. It really is. So let's, a couple drops of water, let's see what it's all about. Well, the nose first. Ooh, sweet and sour. Oh, I'm getting something different than the lavender here. I'm getting some chocolate. Chocolate mousse. Oh, rich. Very rich, maybe even some custard here. I think I said creme de brulee there yesterday. That is nice. That is really nice. Okay, palate. Wow. I forgot how good this stuff was. So, with water, it definitely makes it a little sweeter, richer, fruit cakey. Fruit cake, and I mentioned the custard. Well, I'll go back to the creme brulee there. Maybe some meringue. Bit of meringue going on there. Lemon meringue pie. It's a tasty dram. No sharp edges. It's not a funky drink. I was saying the other day at the end of the review, it's not. If somebody likes something that's a challenge, a little more intense, you're probably gonna put this one down. But God, there's times you gotta like something like this. Good Lord, don't we all? So, you know, those of you that you like the funky drinks, you like those drinks that are a bit more of a challenge, you like a little more intensity in your drink, you're probably not going to like this. And it's a shame, because, you know, we all like Christmas, and we like our Christmas fruitcake, and we like our sweets. But the way I look at it is, it's part of the variety of Scotch. You know, we know that Glenmorangie is a great canvas for, you know, for sherry presentation, wine presentations, port presentations, and that. When you age it, it's really hard to say, like, what would we get if we did a 46 with this, you know, instead of a 43. Okay, let's get back to our tasting here. So with water, okay, I'm going to say that sweeter, the zest. We've got lots of honey notes. We're getting the lighter fruits, the pears, maybe even stewed pears. I'm just going to top it up there. Yeah, the confectionery. We get into the confectionery. And not as Ralphie presents it. I mean, this is confectionery in a good way. So I really enjoy sometimes having something that I don't, it's not attacking me. it's I'm going to say that this other presentation here, I was challenged a bit in the beginning with it. So, but anyways, we're going to move on to that one. Let's clear our palate here. Okay, let's give it the nose. And this is the old guy. So we've lost a bit of that must that we had earlier, which we identified as some of it was sulfur. And we had a little bit of earthiness. Now it's more of the forest. I'm getting a little bit of the forest now. We talked about the forest. We talked about the smell of the foliage of your pine needles, your fir needles, even your deciduous foliage. And the honey, manuka, spicy, but sweet. The dark fruits, berries, like jammy, dark jam. and we're getting again, I'm going to say, you know, I do a lot of hiking and that, so I'm going to say a walk through the forest in the fall. You get a lot of those smells there. So maybe that's a wee bit of what we're getting in the wood, because the wood's kind of almost but disappeared here, eh? And it was, earlier it was attacking me. Okay, the palate with water. Again, the wood's really mellowed out. Wee bit of spice, baking spice. And I'm amazed how the wood is drifted off, because it's actually really a nice drink now. We're getting some layers of different spices, bit of the cinnamon, but I'm going to say we got some oregano, nutmeg. The licorice is still there. Bit of tobacco, chocolate. And that's the darker chocolate, maybe even mocha. Try a little more there. Very nice drink. A little bit of that, I talked about that darker licorice. Salted, the Dutch salted licorice. This is an interesting drink in that there's just a lot of layers happening. I'm going to give it one more shot here, and then we'll talk about the tale of the two whiskeys there. And you notice I didn't clear my palate. This is just to kind of finalize them. They're similar, but they're different. That's how I'm going to finish off. They're different whiskeys. They're similar, but they're different. I identify them as Glenmorangie. Identify them from, that Glenmorangie presentation from the Glenmorangie stills. But this definitely has more layers, and it is a wee bit more dense. It's more spicy. This is a sweet, lighter fruit, zesty, lemon, lime. And if I was to score these, in all fairness, and I think yesterday, I think it said 83, 84. I think it ended up with 83, but it could be an 84 today. I mean, depending on the day, but there's going to be a point difference. If this was an 83, that's an 84. If this is an 84, that's an 85. This is definitely got more layers. It's got a little bit more character to it. There is initially some sharp edges, but as it developed, I lost those sharp edges. My palate adjusted to it. And we talked a little bit more about the woodiness. Well, the woodiness kind of disappeared, and especially when I added the water. And sometimes wood will come even stronger if you add too much water. But I didn't really identify just toward, I think the finish there identified the wood in the initial first year there. But I mean, in all honesty, they're close, but they're not. How's that sound? And I'm going to leave it at that. Because I'm giving this an extra point, where does it leave this? I like this whiskey. I'm glad I have it in my cupboard. Would I run out and buy a bottle? Boy, at the price, I got this for just under $2.70. I do not see these whiskeys worth that kind of money. This was way under $100 when that was purchased, and the reality is that whether it's a Glenlivet or a Glenfiddich or a Glenmorangie or Macallan, all these whiskeys, you know, I'm looking at Delmore. Delmore now thinks it's worth a hell of a lot more than, you know, the price I saw on a Delmore, and I'm thinking it, you know, with all that coloring in it, and you know, it's so well engineered, but it just doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. And I don't know. There's people paying it, or they wouldn't be charging it. So I'm not gonna be negative here. I'm gonna say this is great. I've got it in my wheelhouse, and I'm glad, you know, I got it before it went up another $65 because it's gonna be $235. It makes us really optimistic about the future of whiskey, but can it keep going this way? I don't know. So I'm going to finish off with two good whiskeys. This creeped up 1 point over this guy here, but it doesn't mean that this is a bad whiskey. It's still a decent whiskey. But is it worth $270 plus? Is it going to be worth $235? No, it's not. I wouldn't be paying that for it. But anyways, we'll leave it at that. So I'm going to ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. And until the next time, so long.